Ciao amici, it's me. And today I'm going to show you how to make an authentic pesto sauce. And by the way, this is not going to be no pine nuts, no Parmesan cheese version because that's not pesto. That's imposter syndrome. Now, you can use dried basil if you don't have any fresh, but trust me, you're going to miss out on so much flavor. So try to get some fresh basil. This is what we call it in Italian, basilico. And you can tell that they're ready to be picked because just like when you touch them, they leave an imprint. This is another important ingredient. Sea salt is the best. And of course, we're going to use it only sparingly. And finally, the last important ingredient is black pepper. Pesto sauce traditionally is not made with just any kind of olive oil. It's made with extra virgin olive oil from a particular area. It has to be called extra virgin olive oil, Colli della Ligure. It comes from the hills near Genoa, and it's really, really aromatic, nice and fine. If you overdo it, you're going to end up with pesto butter. We don't want that. We want it nice and creamy. So stop processing it once you see that it's still a little bit chunky, and then we're going to add the black pepper. So we put it on top and we process it again for just a few seconds. We want it nice and fine. Our pesto is ready. So thank you guys for watching the video. And I'll see you next time. Arrivederci, you can scrape it against the sides of the bowl and then continue processing it until it is nice and smooth. And you know it is ready when it is nice and smooth and you can see the bottom of the bowl. So let's check it up. When you're serving it, it is nice to put a little dollop on the plate and then drizzle a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on top and maybe add a little sprinkle of sea salt. And that's going to make it look really fancy. So keep that in mind. It's nice to impress your guests. So it's a little bit too chunky. So let's let it run for a few more seconds and then check it again. There we go. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful pesto, just like Grandma used to make. Don't worry if it looks like it's not enough, but you can use it anywhere you want. It's up to you. I love it with trophy. It's a tradition in my family, but you can use it wherever you want, even on pizza. Oh, even on pizza. You can use it for sandwiches, crackers, whatever you want. Trust me, it's gonna be a lot. All right, once we have the basil chopped up, let's start putting it inside the food processor. And then the garlic. Remember, the garlic is the unpeeled garlic. Then we put the zest of the lemon, the juice of the lemon, and then the leaves of the lemon tree. Then we put the Parmigiano Reggiano, and then we put the extra virgin olive oil. And then we put a couple of pinches of sea salt. And then we close it and we start processing. It has a particular taste, and that's why it's used in pesto. Of course, if you don't find it, you can use any other kind of extra virgin olive oil. But try to find something good, something fragrant. And then it's better to use a little bit less, so keep that in mind. So, you just pinch them gently. And if they leave an imprint, then they're ready to be picked. Okay, so let's pick these and wash them. Well, that's because the pepper, if you put it in there, will release its oils and it will start oxidizing. So it will start getting dark. We don't want that. We want the pepper to stay nice and shiny and black. So we put it at the end, just a little bit, because a little goes a long way when you're using black pepper. No, we are going to do the real deal today. So let's get started. Before I start cooking anything, I like to spray a little bit of oil inside the pot or inside the pan that I'm going to be using. That way, nothing sticks to it and it makes my life easier. So that's a little secret that I share with you. The first thing we need to do is to get our hands on some fresh basil. Let's measure out the ingredients. So we're going to start with the basil. I've said it before, but it's really the most important ingredient of all. So you need quite a lot of it. So I would say probably about 60 grams of basil is what we need. Then we need the garlic. So this is 1 clove of garlic. I'm going to chop it up and then I'm going to put it in there. Then we need the zest of the lemon. So don't forget to zest the lemon. Then we need the juice of the lemon. This is very important. So about 2 tablespoons of juice of lemon. Then we need the leaves of the lemon tree. So I picked these up already from my plant. So this is what we need. By the way, if you don't have a lemon tree, you can go to an Italian store and they'll definitely have those. Lemon leaves, by the way, you can eat them in salads. They add a really nice fragrance. They kind of remind me of mint, but they're more aromatic. so keep that in mind. I mean, you can use them in salads. So let's put the leaves of the lemon tree in there. Then we need about 3 ounces of Parmigiano Reggiano, and then we need about 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. Of course, I'm going to use the one from Liguria if I can find it. Otherwise, a good quality extra virgin olive oil, and then the sea salt and the black pepper. This is the cheese that makes the pesto sauce kind of thick, creamy, and not too runny. We're going to use the juice and the zest of the lemon. But then you also need the leaves of the lemon tree. These are called in Italian limoni. The leaves are called limoni. Now, you might say, who grows lemon trees in Genoa? Well, trust me, in Genoa they grow lemon trees in pots. They grow outside on balconies. They grow everywhere. Genovese people love their lemon trees. Maybe because they're always looking for a little bit of sunshine, even though they're in a cloudy city like Genoa. But anyway, lemon is another key ingredient in order to make a good pesto sauce. You want to make your pesto sauce light? Well, then you can skip the cheese. But today, we're going to make it the traditional way, so we're going to use Parmigiano Reggiano. And by the way, this is a DOP cheese, which means that only certain areas can produce this cheese. It has to be produced in those areas in order to be called Parmigiano Reggiano. Otherwise, it's just Parmesan cheese, but it cannot be Parmigiano Reggiano. And after I washed them, I laid them down on a kitchen towel in order to dry them up a little bit before putting them into the food processor. We need garlic. In Italy, we don't use those huge bulbs of garlic that you find here in the US. Those are really, really pungent and strong. So we usually use smaller garlic cloves. These are called in Italian, I believe, aglio. Is that right? Clio? So these are much more delicate and much more fragrant than those big ones. So look for aglio or just small cloves of garlic. Parmigiano Reggiano is one of the most important ingredients in our pesto sauce. Now, in order to make a good pesto sauce, you need 2 different kinds of lemons. Actually, one is the lemon itself, the fruit. Okay, now let's talk about extra virgin olive oil. Another important ingredient in order to make a good pesto is the salt. And of course, I'm talking about sea salt. Now, why do we grind the pepper ourselves right at the end? Why do we don't put the whole pepper inside the food processor? Before I start measuring everything out, let me tell you a little secret. So let's start. All right, so let's start chopping up the basil. Now, remember, we want this to be nice and creamy, but not too creamy. Once you see that it's almost ready, of course, tradition says that you should serve it with trophy or tronette, which are 2 types of pasta. But before you go, let me tell you a little secret. That's it.